Today, we're digging into something that's happening right behind your screen, a hidden world that tracks, well, pretty much everything you do. We're going to pull back the curtain on the dark side of data.
You know that feeling, right? You're not going crazy. You search for something one time and suddenly it's following you all over the internet. You mention needing a new pair of shoes and boom, ads for them pop up everywhere. That's not a coincidence. Not at all.
What you're experiencing isn't magic. It's actually a massive and pretty complex system designed for profiling and tracking. So to really get how it all works, we're diving into a detailed report from a Colorado-based tech research firm, Virtualization Options LLC. They're the ones who investigated this hidden industry, and what they found is, well, it's eye-opening.
Okay, so the very first piece of this puzzle is what the report basically calls your invisible digital twin. It's this startlingly accurate digital version of you, and it's built using a process called AI profiling.
So what is AI profiling? Well, think of it as the main engine driving this whole operation. It chews through everything, your clicks, your late-night shopping, where you go, what you like on social media, and it's not just looking at what you did. No, its goal is to build this powerful predictive profile of who you are, what you believe, and, most importantly, what you're going to do next.
So what can these profiles really do? Well, for starters, they can predict your behavior with frankly unnerving accuracy. That's why those ads feel so personal. But it gets way deeper than that. These same profiles are used to assess your risk for huge things like a loan or an insurance policy. They can even decide what news you see, what search results pop up first, essentially creating a custom-made reality just for you.
Okay, so if AI is the architect building this profile, where is it getting all the raw materials, the bricks and mortar of your data? Well, that brings us to the invisible middlemen of your digital life, the information and data brokers. These data brokers are companies you've probably never heard of, but they know you. Their entire business model is to scoop up your personal data from thousands of sources. Think public records, social media, your shopping loyalty cards, and then they package it all up and sell it to the highest bidder. And the wildest part? It's all happening in this huge, unregulated, totally invisible marketplace.
Now, when you look at the real dangers here, one thing just towers above everything else: the total lack of transparency. The biggest issue isn't just that our data is for sale, it's that the entire industry operates in the dark. That secrecy is the root of all the other problems, from discriminatory ads to outright exploitation, because how can you possibly fight back against something you don't even know is happening?
So let's recap. We've got the AI building the profiles and the data brokers supplying the fuel. The final piece of the puzzle is how all this information, even stuff that's technically public, can be turned into a weapon. And that's where something called OSINT comes into play.
OSINT stands for Open Source Intelligence. Now, it's really important to get this. We're not talking about hacking. OSINT is the skill of finding and connecting the dots between bits of information that are already out there in public. Think about it. Your social media posts, public property records, maybe a news article you were mentioned in. By themselves, they seem pretty harmless. But when someone uses OSINT to weave them all together, they can create an incredibly detailed and incredibly powerful picture of you.
And in the wrong hands, that kind of power is just plain dangerous. It can make stalking and harassment terrifyingly easy. It can be used to create and spread incredibly targeted disinformation campaigns. And for people like journalists or activists, it's a direct threat to their safety and their work because it allows their own public data to be turned right back against them.
So let's bring this all together, because this isn't some abstract, out-there concept. It's not just about data and algorithms. As the report makes crystal clear, this system has a very, very real human cost.
You've probably heard of this one. The Cambridge Analytica scandal is pretty much the poster child for this whole system in action. It's a perfect case study of how these different parts, the profiling, the data brokering, and the targeted messaging, can all be snapped together like Legos.
The report puts it so bluntly, saying they harvested personal information. That word, harvested, it's so important. This wasn't just collecting data. This was about creating deep psychological profiles, not to sell you a pair of shoes, but to enable political manipulation on a scale that was just staggering.
And you know, this harm doesn't hit everyone equally. It's the most vulnerable populations who often get hit the hardest. The elderly are targeted with super sophisticated financial scams. Data about migrants and refugees can be used against them, leading to discrimination and harassment.
And kids, they're exposed to privacy violations before they're even old enough to understand what privacy is.
This all feeds into a huge problem called algorithmic bias. See, when you train an AI on historical data, and that data is full of our own human biases, well, the AI learns those biases too. So you end up with a hiring algorithm that discriminates against certain candidates, or a lending system that unfairly denies loans to people in specific neighborhoods. It's literally cementing old inequalities into our future automated systems.
So after hearing all that, it's really easy to feel, well, pretty powerless. But here's the good news. The Virtualization Options Report doesn't just lay out the problem, it actually gives us a clear blueprint for how we can start reclaiming our digital selves and build a much better future.
The report basically proposes an ethical framework built on 3 pillars that are totally non-negotiable. First, transparency. You absolutely have to have the right to know what data is being collected about you and why. Second, oversight. We need independent groups with real teeth to monitor these systems. And finally, something called meaningful consent. Your data should only be used with your clear, explicit permission, not buried in some 50-page terms of service.
And to put that framework into action, the report targets each part of the problem we've talked about. That means finally putting some real regulations on data brokers to limit what they can collect. It means forcing companies to audit their algorithms to fight that built-in bias. And it means promoting ethical OS and IT practices so public information can't be so easily weaponized against people.
So what can actually be done? Well, the path forward really involves all of us. It starts right here, with awareness, educating yourself and others about what's really going on. From there, it moves to advocacy, demanding that companies be transparent and accountable. It also means pushing for real policy reform. And on a personal level, it means using the tools that are out there to take back some control over your own data. Ultimately, it all comes down to this really powerful idea from the report. Yes, technology can and should do amazing things for us, but those benefits can never, ever be used as an excuse to trample on our fundamental human rights and our dignity.
So, I'm just going to leave you with this one last thought. Our data isn't just ones and zeros. It's the story of our lives, what we believe, who we love, what we hope for. The question we all need to start asking is, who should get to write the ending to that story?